There's a big shift happening in the district when it comes to kids and how they learn, and it all starts with the Common Core state standards. I'm here with Richland School District's Math and Science Coordinator, Erika Doyle, and Kristina Tucker, who is with the Language Arts, Social Studies, and English Coordinator. Now, thank you both for joining us. I want to ask you, what are these Common Core state standards and how is the district involved?
Well, I'll go ahead and start with the first part. What are the Common Core state standards? And the Common Core state standards are standards that were developed for kids out of a need that we realized that the kids were not ready for college and career or for the workforce. And so the standards were developed, and they're divided into two sections. You have the English language arts standards, and then you have the math standards. And within the English language arts standards, those are divided into sub areas too. You have reading, you have writing, speaking and listening, and language.
Now, how is the district involved with that, with the standards?
Well, Kristina's role and my role is to support the teacher's understanding of the standards. So we're working to help our teachers understand, what the standards mean as they're written. So, to understand a standard, just to read it isn't enough. You really have to be able to internalize what it means for you as the teacher in the classroom around your instruction and what it means for students. So we're really working to help support our teachers understand the standards. But then the next piece of that is, how does that fit with the curriculum and the material that we currently have in our classrooms? So what are the tools you have for instruction around those standards, and where might you need some other tools? And then really around the crux of what teaching is, the instructional strategies. How is it that you're really working in your classroom? What is it you're doing around instruction to get your kids engaged in those standards? So that's really the big piece that we're working on. And the other thing is that we're really helping our teachers with is that the Common Core really is a move from a teacher-directed classroom where the teachers are kind of up in front and really being directed, to a student-centered classroom. And really what that means is it's a shift towards what college and career is really asking us to do. So, for example, in your job, Meredith, I'm sure that when you, come in to work in the morning or you have a problem that you're trying to solve, there isn't somebody telling you how to solve it, exactly what you're going to do, and every tool you need to be able to do it. As learners and as adults in the workplace or in college or career, whatever avenue you're going to choose, you have to be able to do that independently. So we're kind of moving in our classrooms to really getting our students to be able to do that more independently. So the teacher kind of taking a back seat and really saying, my boss doesn't ask me to get some information presented at a meeting and then tell me exactly how to present it. If I want to do a presentation or I want to have some other sort of interactive activity that we do to learn the information, that is up to me to be able to design that. And we want students to be able to express their learning in different ways too. So really kind of providing those opportunities for our kids in the classroom so that it emulates what they're going to do in the real world.
And it helps also guide the students of who's kind of where and to get them to that next level. I imagine that when you have students in a classroom, they're not all on the same learning path, in the sense of how they learn. And this kind of gives them an opportunity to...
Yeah, we call that multiple entry points into the learning. So not everybody is going to come into a subject or something they're learning with the same level of understanding or even come in at the same direction into the problem. You might be thinking about it in a different way than I might be thinking about it. And having a more open-ended avenue into the learning really allows all of our kids to have access to the learning, not just those kids that learn within the way the teacher's presenting it. So it really opens that up. And that's really, again, we keep going back to the workplace and back to this college and career ready, because that's really, the point of K-12 education is to prepare our kids to go beyond our K-12 system and do something. And so that's what we want to be able to do, is make sure that we have. Now, we're not going to see all of our kindergartners making choices about their learning, but as they move through the grade levels, they're going to make more and more choices. So when they get into high school, they should be making a lot of choices about what they're doing and how they're presenting that information so that they're scaffolding that up to be ready.
Yeah, it takes one to move on.
And the important thing about that too is that when the standards were developed, they were developed with that backwards plan in mind. Like, we asked the question, okay, when the child leaves high school, what are these kids going to know to be either successful in college, in the career, or in a workplace? And so they had these set of standards at that high level, and they were planned backwards from that all the way down to kindergarten, so that we were making sure that the kids would gradually work up to that, but in a backwards design and plan.
Yeah,
so that the kids
really,
can be more successful.
It's very forward thinking if you think about it. Instead of how can we get there, let's start there.
Let's start
and
where
let's
they need
see
to
where
be.
There you go.
It
Wow.
takes that hope out of it that we start at the bottom and we get there